abusia micho na misanso mu akwa baso nkoso emfa omra ye channel so hada so e be media je abusia Okudzeto ablakwa foreign minister a reply US Senate Foreign Relations Committee chairman Senator Risch abusia wa reply no a enya asem keto ade asem na senator e de ba bonten ene de asem so Okudzeto ablakwa abusia eno so e de amane pepeya enya asem keto hada so e be media je se ene de ko ni channel so a be so beje me no ahwe videos ni bi ya bobodi ya wa subscribe like no abo ahwa for pensem bi etie no enya bi etie yonko ne nkotie ensem a Senator Risch abusia etomane omai Ghana chese Okudzeto ablakwa abusia no so atenase a odem ho reply chese odi aduru USA abonten so yeti ensem a course so emra sesia subscribe my yadase.
We have such men with balls in Ghana until now. This is refreshing coming from the foreign minister of our country. His name is Okudzeto Ablakwa, for those who don't know much about Ghana's politics. And this happened on Tuesday when the US Senate Foreign Relations Committee chairman, whose by name is Senator Risch, tweeted this, and I quote, ladies and gentlemen, "Instead of a trip to DC, Ghana's foreign minister should focus on honoring his government's commitment to repay US companies and American taxpayers. We cannot continue subsidizing Ghana while it continues paying far larger debts to China." End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening here is that this senator is sending a word of advice or kind of a word of warning to Ghana's foreign minister to not be looking for a visit to the US, but instead focus on how Ghana will pay off our debts owed to the USA. This is basically the whole thing, ladies and gentlemen. But this new and young foreign minister we have had a counter advice and sort of a word of caution to this senator. This is his response, and I quote, "This is very rich coming from someone who refuses to engage in same advocacy for the payment of reparations by the US for its despicable and condemnable role in slavery. You will not be allowed to dictate to a sovereign country on how we conduct our foreign policy." Wow. If you need to be reminded, this is Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, as compared to what you owe us in reparations would be paid when we deem appropriate based on our prudent economic recovery program, even though the debt was not created by the new Mahama administration. He continues to say, "Unlike you, we take responsibility and honor our national obligations." So I ask myself, how much, ladies and gentlemen, I ask myself this one question: how much at all do we owe to the US in debts? Because the minister referred to the amount as measly, which also means small or insignificant. So I inquired on the very latest debt owed to the US, and this is what I found, ladies and gentlemen. Ghana's official bilateral debt to the United States and other official creditors stood at approximately $5.17 billion as of December 2022. And I laughed, ladies and gentlemen. $5.17 billion only, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not bragging or being overly confident or silly or ignorant, but I promise you this: for a country like Ghana, with the volume of gold under our feet and the totality of our resources, ladies and gentlemen, this is chicken change, for a lack of a better word. Ghana could be easily making that amount of money every week from one gold mine if we own one in our country. These types of monies for even Benin Republic or Togo should never have been an issue to raise. Do you have any clue the value of the resources we sit on as a country? Every one of African countries by the ocean has oil in addition to all the land minerals. The Middle East only has one, which is oil, and see how transformed and respected they are. We have 1,000-fold of what they don't even have. If we were prudent with our resources, do you think this clown could be talking to Ghana like that? I don't blame him, ladies and gentlemen, when he says they subsidize our loans while we pay China. We shouldn't be owing any country in the first place. Ghana shouldn't be begging for subsidies or protection from anyone, ladies and gentlemen. No African country should be waiting for a Western country to subsidize or protect them from anything on any front, ladies and gentlemen. How can the same people who fund terrorists protect you. The same people who start wars and manipulate our African countries into needing them like they are doing in the Congo and Rwanda. How do you still call them to come to help you, ladies and gentlemen? Africa doesn't need anyone but Africa. We have to be in charge of our security and our future. Somebody needs to share this video with that old senator. For all that we've done for America, that senator shouldn't have been talking that loosely if he studied history in school. When all the black people who run your entertainment and sports industries literally came from Ghana, this is where the Jordans of today and the LeBron James and Serena Williams all originated from. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you got all those slaves and industrial hands to work for more than 250 years to build America without compensation. No monthly salaries, no pension fund for them for that long. What are you talking about? The man is old, and old men suffer a lot of memory loss. That is his problem. But this, ladies and gentlemen, on our part, on the part of our foreign minister, this is promising and refreshing to see courage and strength on the continent once again. Ladies and gentlemen, the part I loved the most was when he wrote, "This is Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana." Exactly so. The one man who conquered colonialism and imperialism and set up the whole of Africa on the path to independence. Just one man. This is the country he gave birth to. This is the Ghana who is a leader and has the ability to trigger a continental uprising. Black people must know our history and wake up from this coma we find ourselves in. It is long overdue, ladies and gentlemen. We need to start being responsible to our own development and stop leaving it in the hands of these Westerners. But having said all this, ladies and gentlemen, we don't sit back and fall into the crisis that made us go to America and borrow in the first place. We get up and we get to work. Okudzeto, you have a lot of work on your hands. I'll tell you this for sure. We have to start developing our manufacturing industries. Where are our fabric industries and plantation farms and steel industries and processing plants? We need to make it a state project and not leave it in the hands of some private sector people. After 33 years of leaving it in the hands of the private sector, in the hands of these same people who have run our country for 33 years, this is how low we have become, allowing for foreigners to hijack our economy. Get up as a state and compete with state corporations. This is what's going to get us there, ladies and gentlemen. See how fast Burkina Faso and Captain Traore, they are moving, how fast they are going. We need that pace. And to you, Mr. Minister, let me use this opportunity to bring this to your attention. Ghana's embassies in Europe are dysfunctional. Ghana's embassies in Europe is bereft of providing assistance to our people at every level. And I have too many people in my DM encouraging me to speak on this subject. This is what is happening, Mr. Ablakwa. Our Ghanaian brothers and sisters who have acquired additional passports from European countries who are attempting to get visas to come home are treated worse than Europeans at our own embassies. They book appointments and are told to wait for months and are spoken to haphazardly without providing any solutions. Meanwhile, Europeans walk in and walk out in seconds holding visas. Mr. Ablakwa, this is what we have to take care of. This is happening in Sweden and in the Netherlands and in most parts of Europe. You need an in-house cleaning, Mr. Ablakwa. The people working for us in the embassies use phrases, typical phrases as they are there for foreign visitors and investors and not necessarily there for the Ghanaian people. This is not right. Ghanaians with foreign passport shouldn't have to struggle for visas to come back home. And by the way, Mr. Ablakwa, how has it become so easy for other nationals to acquire Ghana's passport? Mr. Ablakwa, we are told Europe is populated with people, black people from other parts of Africa, particularly from Nigeria, who use our passports. Have you been briefed on this situation, and what is your plan to tackle it, especially when they use our passports to engage in criminal enterprises, Mr. Minister? This has been a constant problem for more than 30 years and still persists. How will you address this, Mr. Minister of State? I like how you addressed the senator but there is work to do. This generation is going to be the generation to make Africa totally free. And it starts with our love for our countries and our willingness to stay and develop the countries. For nobody is coming to save us but ourselves. And to the NDC party, I'm not one of you. But if I had to vote for someone from your party after John Mahama is done, it will definitely has to be someone who has the balls to stand for our country, whether at home or overseas. Someone who is patriotic enough and puts Ghana first. It has to be someone who has the level of self-esteem that sees himself as equal to all men, whether black, brown, or white, and not intimidated by Europeans. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for taking time to watch this one. I'll come your way again with another one very soon. Until then, God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Remember to subscribe and click on the bell for more of my content. It is bye-bye for now.